Looking to conquer the digital universe with some out-of-this-world content? Join the Sci-Fi Empire crew, where we work hard to bring you the coolest sci-fi adventures. Hit that subscribe and follow button, and let's embark on an epic journey together. Under the blanket of night, the skies above the quiet suburban town of Eldridge shimmered unusually, an anomaly unnoticed by its slumbering residents. Among them was Laura Wells, an astrophysicist whose life was about to take a dramatic turn. Laura was jolted awake by a piercing sound that sliced through the stillness of the night. Her bedroom was awash with a strange, flickering light. She stumbled out of bed, her heart pounding as she moved towards the window to investigate. The sight that greeted her was something straight out of the sci-fi books that lined her shelves. Suspended in the sky was an immense, otherworldly craft, its surface a mosaic of iridescent panels pulsing with light. Paralyzed by a mix of fear and fascination, Laura watched as the craft descended with an elegant yet eerie silence, settling in the open field behind her house. Before she could process what was happening, a beam of light shot out from the craft, enveloping her in a blinding glow. She tried to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. In an instant, the world went black. When Laura regained consciousness, she found herself in a stark, metallic room, the air thick with a cold sterility. She was alone, or so it seemed, until the silence was broken by a chilling voice. "Welcome, Laura Wells," it said, its tone devoid of warmth. "You are chosen." Chosen? The word echoed in her mind as she tried to find the source of the voice. Her eyes adjusted to the dim light, and she saw them. Beings unlike any she had ever imagined. Tall and slender, their skin was a translucent gray, eyes large and unblinking, devoid of pupils. They watched her with an unnerving intensity. "What do you want from me?" Laura demanded, her voice shaking. "You will see. Your understanding is not necessary now," the voice replied, seemingly coming from one of the creatures. Laura felt a surge of panic. She was trapped, far from home, at the mercy of these alien beings. Her thoughts raced, trying to piece together why she had been taken. Her expertise in astrophysics, her research on extraterrestrial signals. As if responding to her thoughts, a panel on the wall slid open, revealing a series of holographic images that floated before her eyes. They depicted scenes of chaos, destruction, planets in ruins, a stark warning, or a glimpse of her own planet's future. "You must understand your role," the creature spoke again, stepping closer. Its fingers were long and ended in tips that glowed faintly. "You are to help us understand your species' resistance, your planet's defenses." Resistance? Defenses? Laura realized with horror that these beings saw humanity not as friends but as foes. They intended to use her knowledge against her own kind, to conquer or destroy. "I won't help you," she said defiantly, her fear momentarily overtaken by anger. The alien paused, tilting its head slightly, considering her response. "You will in time," it said cryptically. "For now, rest." The room darkened as the creature departed, leaving Laura alone with her thoughts. She knew she couldn't give in, whatever their plans. She needed to escape, to warn Earth. But first, she had to survive, and survival meant understanding the true extent of the aliens' plans and her role in them. As she lay in the darkness, the weight of her situation pressing down on her, Laura knew one thing for certain. Cooperating with her captors was not an option. She would resist, whatever it took, and with that thought, her fight for survival began. Days, or perhaps weeks, time lost its meaning in the confines of the alien ship. Laura's existence became a series of experiments and interrogations, each encounter with the aliens revealing a little more about their technology and intentions. Despite the overwhelming fear and confusion, she clung to a shred of hope, using each interaction to gather information, anything that might help her if she found a way to escape. In the sterile room where she spent most of her time, Laura began to notice patterns in the aliens' routines and security measures. Their technology was advanced, but not infallible. She watched carefully as they operated their devices, memorizing sequences and commands. The ship itself was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, but Lara mapped out as much as she could during her transfers between rooms. One day, during an experiment involving the ship's navigation systems, Lara saw her chance. She was left alone momentarily with a control panel, the alien overseer momentarily distracted by a malfunctioning piece of equipment. Heart pounding, she accessed the panel, recalling the sequences she had observed. Her fingers flew over the surface, initiating a series of commands that would unlock the door to her holding cell. As the door hissed open, Lara slipped out, her senses heightened to every sound. She moved stealthily through the corridors, using her makeshift map to navigate towards what she hoped would be an exit or a communications center. She knew this might be her only chance. The ship was eerily silent as she moved, the only sounds the distant hum of the engines and the soft whir of machinery. She reached a junction, pausing to consider her path, when suddenly she felt a presence behind her. Whirling around, she came face to face with one of the aliens. Its cold, emotionless eyes stared down at her, and for a moment, Lara felt a chill of despair. But the alien did not move to capture her. Instead, it spoke, its voice a low whisper. "You seek freedom," it said, not a question but a statement. "Yes," Lara replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I won't be a part of your plans against my planet." The alien continued to watch her. Then, to her surprise, it stepped aside, gesturing down one corridor. "That way leads to the communications bay," it said. "Why are you helping me?" Lara asked, suspicion knitting her brow. "Not all share the same vision," the alien replied cryptically. "Hurry, before you are missed." With no time to question further, Lara took off down the corridor indicated by the alien. Her mind raced with questions about the alien's motives, but she focused on her immediate goal, reaching the communications bay. The bay was unguarded, the ship still unaware of her escape. She quickly located the communication devices, using her knowledge of their technology to send a distress signal to Earth. The message was brief, warning of the alien threat and her abduction, and a plea for help. As she sent the message, alarms began to wail throughout the ship. She had been discovered. Lara prepared herself for a desperate fight to hold off any attackers until help could arrive, but she knew the odds were against her. As she braced for the worst, the alien who had helped her appeared once more. "This way," it urged, leading her to a small shuttle bay. "You can escape in one of these crafts." Together they raced to a shuttle, the alien swiftly powering it up. As the bay doors opened to the vastness of space, Lara realized that this was her shot at not just survival, but also at fighting back. She wasn't going to be a victim. She was going to be a resistor. As the shuttle shot out into space, bound for Earth, Lara looked back at the alien ship. Her resolve hardened. She had escaped, but she knew the real battle was just beginning. She was going home, not just to warn humanity, but to lead the fight to protect it. The shuttle hurtled through space, its trajectory set for Earth. Lara sat in the pilot's seat, her hands gripping the controls, her mind still reeling from the events that had unfolded. The alien's assistance remained a mystery, a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit with the rest, but it had given her a fighting chance, and for that, she was grateful. As Earth came into view, a beautiful swirling mass of blues and greens framed by the darkness of space, Lara felt a mix of relief and dread. She was coming home, but to what end? She had managed to send a distress signal, but had it been received? Would Earth be prepared for the threat looming over it? Her questions were soon answered. As she entered Earth's atmosphere, her shuttle was quickly intercepted by a squadron of international defense fighters. They escorted her to a secure military installation, where she was met by a barrage of security and top-level officials from various global agencies. Lara was swiftly debriefed, her story met with a mixture of skepticism and urgency. The data she had collected, along with her first-hand account of the aliens and their technology, spurred a flurry of activity. Within hours, global defense measures were being coordinated, and an emergency session of the United Nations was called to address the alien threat. In the midst of this whirlwind, Lara was introduced to General Martin Rees, the appointed head of the newly formed Earth Defense Coalition, EDC. Rees was a pragmatic man, his face etched with lines of experience and his eyes sharp with a strategic mind. "Dr. Wells, your experience is invaluable to us," Reese began, his voice firm but not unkind. "We need your expertise to understand their technology and develop countermeasures." Lara nodded, steeling herself for the monumental task ahead. "I'll do whatever I can to help," she replied. "We need to be prepared for their next move." Under Reese's direction, Lara was brought to a high-security research facility where the world's best minds were gathered to form a think tank. Her insights into the alien technology catalyzed the development of new defensive strategies and weapons systems. Each day was filled with rigorous analysis and testing, the urgency driving them to break new ground in technology and defense. But Lara's thoughts often drifted to the alien who had helped her escape. Why had it assisted her? What division did it imply within the alien ranks? This enigma added a layer of complexity to their strategy, suggesting that there might be more to the alien agenda than outright hostility. Amidst the preparations, a global broadcast was prepared. Lara was asked to speak to the world, to tell her story, and to brace humanity for the possibility of an interstellar conflict. Standing before the cameras, Lara felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She spoke of her abduction, the nature of the alien threat, and the need for unity and resilience. Her words resonated across continents, broadcasted in multiple languages, reaching billions. The world listened, gripped by the unfolding drama that seemed like the stuff of science fiction, yet undeniably real. As nations unified like never before, Lara became the face of Earth's defense, her story a rallying cry for resistance. But even as alliances formed and plans solidified, the aliens remained a formidable and mysterious foe. Their next move was anticipated with both fear and determination. The coming weeks saw Earth transform, cities fortified, militaries enhanced with new technologies, and every eye on the sky, watching, waiting. Lara worked tirelessly, driven by the memories of her captivity and the looming threat over her home. Yet in her quieter moments, she wondered about the future. Could Earth really stand a chance against a technologically superior enemy? What did the aliens truly want? And could there be others out there, like the one who had helped her, who might change the course of the impending conflict? As these questions haunted her, Lara knew that the answers would come soon, one way or another. The stage was set, Earth was ready, and the universe watched in silence, waiting for the next act in this cosmic drama. As Earth braced for potential conflict, the tension was palpable across the globe. Military installations were on high alert, and civilian populations were instructed on emergency protocols. Lara, stationed at the Central Command Center alongside General Reese and a team of international experts, monitored every piece of incoming data. Satellites and deep space radars scanned the cosmos, a network of vigilant eyes in the sky. One quiet night, which mirrored the eerie calm before her initial abduction, the alarm sounded. The alien ship had reappeared, just outside Earth's orbital perimeter. It was larger than the one that had taken Lara, a colossal structure that dwarfed any man-made vessel. "This is it," General Reese muttered as he joined Lara at the command station. "All units stand by for engagement orders." Lara's heart raced as she watched the screen, the alien ship looming ominously. It seemed to hesitate, as if gauging Earth's response. Then, without warning, it launched a salvo of bright projectiles towards Earth, clearly not a gesture of peace. "Intercept those projectiles," Reese ordered. Earth's newly developed defense system sprang to life, launching counter-missiles that intercepted the alien projectiles in spectacular explosions that lit up the sky. But the alien attack was a diversion. As the world focused on the missiles, a smaller detachment of alien ships slipped through the defensive perimeter, heading straight for Earth. Their target was not military. It was major population centers. "Redirect all available units to intercept," Reese commanded, his voice tense. Lara watched helplessly as the scene unfolded. The smaller ships were fast and equipped with advanced cloaking technology, making them difficult to track. As they entered the atmosphere, anti-aircraft defenses around targeted cities engaged. Some alien crafts were hit, spiraling down in flames, but others got through, unleashing energy pulses that devastated entire city blocks. Amidst the chaos, Lara's mind raced. The strategy was clear. The aliens intended to sow terror and confusion, striking at the heart of human civilization. But why this show of force now? What had changed in their tactics? "We need to communicate with them," Lara said suddenly, turning to Reese. "There might be a way to negotiate, to stop this before more lives are lost." Reese looked at her, skeptical. "Negotiate after they've attacked us without provocation? We don't understand their motives fully," Lara insisted. "There could be factions among them, dissenters like the one who helped me escape. We can't just fight. We need to understand." Reese paused, considering her words. "Prepare a communication link," he finally ordered. "But keep our defenses ready. We can't afford to let our guard down." Lara worked with the communications team, sending a message into space, directed at the alien fleet. "We wish to communicate. Cease your attack and let us discuss a truce." The world waited in bated breath, but the aliens' response was not verbal. Instead, the main ship powered down its weapons, and a smaller craft detached, heading towards Earth. "It's a start," Lara murmured, watching the craft approach. It landed near the command center, under heavy guard. From it emerged not the familiar gray-skinned beings Lara had encountered, but a different figure, taller, with markings that glowed subtly on its skin. "I am Ambassador Kale," the figure announced as it was escorted into the command center. "I come to speak for those of us who seek a different path." As discussions began, Lara felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this was the opening they needed, a chance to shift the course of conflict towards diplomacy. But as she faced the ambassador, ready to negotiate for peace, she knew they were treading on fragile ground. The future of Earth hung in the balance, dependent on the words exchanged in the coming hours. In the high-security room of the command center, Lara sat across from Ambassador Kale, a being whose presence was as enigmatic as his intentions. General Reese and a team of political and military advisors flanked her, all of them wary but attentive. The room was filled with a tense silence, punctuated only by the soft hum of the surveillance equipment. "Ambassador Kale," Lara began, her voice steady despite the uncertainty churning inside her. "You've asked for a dialogue after an unprovoked attack on our planet. What assurance can you give us that this is not another stratagem?" Kale's luminescent eyes focused on her, his expression unreadable. "I understand your distrust," he said, his voice resonating with a strange, melodic quality. "The factions among my people are divided. I represent those who oppose the war. We seek coexistence, not conquest." General Reese leaned forward, his demeanor skeptical. "Why the sudden change of heart? Your people seemed quite intent on our destruction until now." "The decision to attack was made by our ruling council, dominated by the war faction," Kale explained. "However, the loss of life on both sides has been significant. It has shifted the balance of power and perspective among us. We wish to explore other options before the conflict escalates further." Lara listened intently, analyzing each word. "What kind of coexistence do you envision, Ambassador?" "We propose a treaty," Kale continued. "A mutual agreement to cease hostilities and exchange knowledge. We have much to learn from one another." "And the terms of this treaty?" Reese interjected, not willing to show any sign of softening. Kale paused, considering his words carefully. "We would withdraw all forces and cease all aggressive actions immediately. In return, we ask for the establishment of an embassy on Earth, where we can foster diplomatic relations and ensure the treaty's terms are upheld." The proposal was bold, and the room buzzed with whispered conversations as advisors debated the implications. Lara, however, remained focused on Kale, trying to gauge his sincerity. "Why should we trust you?" she asked. "After everything that has happened." Kale met her gaze squarely. "Because we are also risking much by coming here unarmed and seeking peace. There is much opposition to this within our own ranks. We are here because we believe it is the only way to save both our species from extinction." Lara sensed the truth in his words, or at least the desire for a different path forward. If we agree to these terms, how do we ensure compliance? How do we know other factions won't just take over again?
We propose a mutual surveillance system, Kale suggested. Monitors from both sides to oversee the activities and ensure compliance. It would also facilitate a greater understanding and reduce the likelihood of future conflicts. General Reese nodded slowly, seeing the strategic advantage. We'll need to discuss this with our leaders and allies. This isn't a decision we can make alone. Kale acknowledged this with a nod. Of course, we hope for a favorable response. As the meeting adjourned, Lara felt a mix of hope and apprehension. The talks had opened a potential path to peace, but the road ahead was fraught with challenges. Trust was a delicate thing, easily broken and hard to rebuild. In the days that followed, global leaders convened, debating Kale's proposal. Lara was involved in every step, her knowledge and experience vital in shaping the Earth's response. Finally, a decision was made. Earth would tentatively accept the peace proposal, beginning with a trial period of the surveillance system and the establishment of a small alien embassy under strict conditions. As the agreement was formalized, Lara couldn't help but feel that they were on the brink of something monumental. This was not just a cessation of hostilities, but possibly the beginning of a new era of interstellar relations. However, peace was fragile, and as Earth prepared for this new diplomatic venture, Lara knew that vigilance would be their greatest ally. The future remained uncertain, and the true test of the treaty's strength was yet to come.
The weeks following the treaty's signing were a whirlwind of activity. The world watched as the first alien embassy on Earth was established, a sleek, modern structure designed to accommodate the unique needs of Kale's people, located in a remote area closely monitored by international security forces. This outpost became a symbol of the fragile peace, a constant reminder of both the potential for a harmonious future and the threat of conflict. Lara was appointed as one of the key liaisons for the embassy, her unique experience and insights into alien technology making her indispensable. She worked closely with Kale, who proved to be a diplomat of considerable skill and integrity. Together, they navigated the complex process of building trust and cooperation between two vastly different civilizations. Despite the progress, skepticism and fear remained among Earth's populace. Protests erupted in various cities, driven by groups unable to trust the alien intentions after such a stark introduction. Lara understood their fears. She had felt them herself when trapped aboard the alien vessel. However, she also saw a chance for something greater than a ceaseless guard against a cosmic threat. During this time, Lara spent long hours at the embassy, involved in technology exchanges that were part of the treaty. Earth scientists and engineers worked alongside their alien counterparts to understand and integrate technology that could advance human understanding of the universe. Energy systems, medicine, advanced materials, each day brought new breakthroughs. However, not all was smooth. An incident occurred when a group of radical activists attempted to storm the embassy, convinced that the aliens were covertly undermining Earth's defenses. The swift response of the security teams prevented any harm, but the event shook the already tenuous trust. General Reese, ever the cautious strategist, increased security measures and held a series of briefings to reinforce the necessity of vigilance. Remember, peace is not just the absence of war, he told his teams. It's the active maintenance of understanding and respect. Lara felt the weight of his words deeply. Each day at the embassy was a step in a dance of diplomacy and espionage. She had to balance openness with caution, collaboration with oversight. The surveillance system proposed by Kale was implemented, with monitors from both sides keeping a watchful eye on all activities. One evening, as Lara and Kale reviewed data from a joint technological project, an alert sounded through the embassy. Lara's heart raced as memories of alarms blaring on the alien ship flashed through her mind. She looked at Kale, searching his face for any sign of betrayal. "It's not us," Kale said immediately, sensing her fear. "Let's find out what's happening." They rushed to the control room, where monitors displayed live feeds from around the embassy perimeter. The security team was already on high alert, scanning for threats. It was another attempted intrusion, this time by an unidentified drone that had breached the airspace over the embassy. The drone was quickly neutralized, but the incident underscored the precariousness of their situation. Investigation revealed it to be of unknown origin, not matching any technology from Earth or Kale's people. "This may be a third party trying to destabilize our peace," Kale suggested as they discussed the breach in a secure meeting. "There are many who would benefit from a reignited conflict." Lara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We need to increase our collaborative security measures," she proposed. "Perhaps a joint task force to investigate this and prevent further incidents." Kale agreed, and plans were made to deepen the cooperation between their security forces. As they worked, Lara found herself admiring Kale's dedication to peace. He had become not just a diplomatic ally, but a friend. Months passed, and the joint task force made progress in securing the embassy and surrounding areas. Earth and Kale's people slowly learned to work together, not just out of necessity, but from a growing respect and mutual interest in each other's cultures and well-being. Yet the universe remained a vast and mysterious place, with unknown forces moving in its shadows. Lara knew they were only beginning to understand the complexities of interstellar relations, and that the path to lasting peace was long and fraught with challenges. But for now, Earth stood united, stronger not in spite of its diversity, but because of it. As Earth adjusted to its new relationship with Kale's people, Lara found herself increasingly involved in interstellar diplomacy. The embassy not only served as a hub for technological exchange, but also became a meeting point for delegates from other star systems. Kale's disclosure of Earth's situation had rippled across nearby sectors, drawing interest from other civilizations curious about humanity and the dynamics of the new peace. The intrigue was not without risks. Intelligence reports began to surface about other alien factions and rogue elements that viewed Earth's technological ascension and new alliances with suspicion and envy. Lara and General Reese frequently met to discuss these developments, aware that each new contact brought both potential allies and potential threats. One crisp autumn evening, Lara was called to an urgent meeting with Reese and a few other high-ranking officials. The room was tense when she entered, the screens displaying star maps and intercepted communications. "We have a situation," Reese began without preamble. He pointed to a sector on the screen, marked with red. "We've picked up encrypted signals suggesting a coalition of factions planning to challenge the peace treaty between us and Kale's people. They're not happy with the influence Kale has and fear it might disrupt their own power structures." Lara absorbed the information, her mind racing. "What are we talking about here? A military confrontation?" "Possibly," Reese replied, "but there are also signs of political maneuvering, trying to isolate Kale's faction and Earth, to prevent any further integration." Kale, who had been silent up to that point, spoke up. "We anticipated resistance, but not so soon. My people are split, and while many support peace, others view it as a weakness. These signals suggest a gathering of forces, likely planning a strike to liberate us from what they see as an unhealthy alliance." Lara looked at Kale, seeing the strain on his features. "What do you suggest we do?" "We need to strengthen our position," Kale responded. "Show that this alliance is strong and beneficial for all sides. Perhaps it's time to consider expanding our diplomatic reach to these dissenting factions. If they see the benefits firsthand, it may dissuade them from conflict." General Reese nodded slowly, considering this. "It's a gamble, but it might be our best shot. Lara, I want you to lead a diplomatic mission. Reach out to these factions, open a dialogue." Lara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. "I'll need a detailed briefing on their cultures, politics, anything that can give us an edge in negotiations." "Of course," Reese agreed. "And Kale, we'll need your insight into navigating the political landscape." Plans were swiftly put into motion. Lara spent the following weeks preparing, studying alien languages, customs, and political structures. The mission was delicate. Each faction had its own agenda and perceptions of Earth and Kale's people. When the time came, Lara boarded a spacecraft designed for interstellar diplomacy, accompanied by a diverse team of experts and diplomats, including representatives from Kale's faction. The journey through space was tense, each star system they passed a reminder of the vast and complex universe they were part of. Their first destination was a system governed by a council known for its neutrality, but influenced by one of the opposing factions. Lara's approach was cautious but firm, her speeches and negotiations carefully crafted to present the benefits of peace and technological exchange. The council was initially hesitant, but Lara's earnestness and the tangible advancements from Earth's collaboration with Kale slowly won some members over. However, others remained unconvinced, their speeches laced with veiled threats and warnings about the dangers of too close an alliance with outsiders. After several rounds of intense discussions, a minor agreement was reached, allowing for limited cultural exchanges and shared scientific research. It was a small victory, but a crucial first step in breaking down barriers. As the mission continued, visiting other systems and engaging with different factions, Lara felt the weight of her role. Each successful negotiation brought a sense of progress, but the journey was long and fraught with challenges. The universe was a tapestry of conflicting interests and hidden agendas, and each thread pulled could unravel in unexpected ways. But Lara was determined. For Earth, for peace, and for the future, she would continue to strive, to reach out across the stars and find common ground. The shadows of opposition might loom large, but so too did the light of potential alliances. In this delicate dance of shadows and stars, every step forward was a triumph. As Lara's diplomatic mission continued, successes began to accumulate. The outreach to various factions brought several smaller systems into a loose coalition, attracted by the promise of peace and mutual technological advancement. Each negotiation was a step toward a broader understanding, and with each alliance forged, the opposition's resolve weakened. Back on Earth, news of the diplomatic successes was met with widespread support. Public opinion, initially wary and divided, began to shift. The sight of alien delegates visiting Earth, engaging in cultural exchanges and cooperative projects, painted a vivid picture of what could be achieved through unity. However, the path to peace was not without its setbacks. A faction known as the Zeltrons, known for their militant isolationism, launched a surprise attack on one of the newly allied systems, causing significant damage and loss of life. The attack tested the newly formed alliances, straining the fragile peace. General Reese summoned Lara back to Earth to strategize a response. "This attack could unravel everything you've worked for," Reese told her as they reviewed the situation. "We need a show of strength but also restraint. We can't let this provoke a full-scale war." Lara nodded, understanding the delicate balance needed. "We retaliate defensively but focus on protecting our allies. We show that our coalition stands firm against aggression." With Kale's support, a defensive strategy was put into action. Earth's forces, along with ships from allied factions, patrolled vulnerable areas, deterring further attacks. Meanwhile, Lara worked tirelessly to maintain the diplomatic channels, reassuring the nervous allies and even reaching out to the Zeltrons with an offer of peace talks. Surprisingly, the Zeltrons agreed to meet. Their leader, a stern-faced entity known as Prime Zorak, expressed skepticism but listened as Lara presented her vision of a united coalition, emphasizing mutual protection and prosperity. "You speak of ideals that are alien to us," Zorak said, his voice deep and resonant. "We have seen too many betrayals to trust easily." "But we are not your enemies," Lara replied earnestly. "What we offer is not a trap, but a testament to what we can achieve together. This coalition does not weaken us. It makes us all stronger against those who would threaten our worlds." The negotiations were long and fraught, but eventually, a tentative agreement was reached. The Zeltrons would cease their hostilities and join the coalition, albeit with several safeguards in place to protect their sovereignty. As the news of the agreement spread, a wave of relief and celebration swept through the allied systems. Lara, exhausted but elated, returned to Earth, her mission a success. She was greeted as a hero, her efforts having helped avert a crisis and broaden the coalition. In the aftermath, Earth became a central hub for interstellar diplomacy and trade. The alliance, now known as the United Stellar Coalition, continued to grow, encompassing a diverse range of species and systems. Lara was appointed as the first Secretary General of the coalition, a role she accepted with a sense of duty and optimism. Under her leadership, the coalition flourished.
Conflicts were resolved through diplomacy rather than war, and the shared technological advances led to unprecedented progress in science, medicine, and quality of life across the Coalition. Years later, Lara stood before a gathering of the Coalition's leaders, her gaze sweeping over a room filled with faces from 100 worlds. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment, not just for herself, but for humanity, which had grown so much from its isolationist past. We stand together as proof that unity can be forged from diversity, that peace is stronger than war, Lara addressed the assembly. Let us continue to build on this foundation, not just for us but for future generations who will look to the stars not with fear, but with hope. The assembly erupted in applause, the sound echoing through the hall, a symphony of unity that resonated across the cosmos. Lara smiled, knowing that while challenges lay ahead, humanity and its allies were ready to meet them, together. And so, under a sky filled with stars and possibilities, Lara's story of courage, diplomacy, and a quest for peace continued, a beacon for all who believed in a future bound by hope rather than fear.
Ready to blast off into the realm of sci-fi wonders? Don't miss out on any intergalactic adventures. Subscribe and join the Sci-Fi Empire squad now. Trust me, it's out of this world.